welcome to CoinNewsExtra TV interview session. It's a program where we invite innovators, stakeholders, influencers in the blockchain, fintech, AI ecosystem to come air their view and the state of the ecosystem. So today we'll be looking at building a sustainable tech ecosystem in Nigeria. So we're looking to see how technology, most especially emerging tech, are growing across the globe. So we are going to be looking at how to build a sustainable tech ecosystem in Nigeria. So we have our guest joining us, who is Temi Kolawole, who is the MD of Ilorin Innovation Hub. He's joining us for this conversation. It's our pleasure to have you.
Thank you. It's good to be here too.
So how is it going today? How is your day going?
My day is going fine. I have an event we're preparing for tomorrow in our ecosystem. It's a networking event called Founders Match, where we are matching aspiring startup founders with talent and vice versa. So we're busy.
Yeah, I could imagine the ecosystem is growing. So let's go straight to the conversations. Can you walk us through your journey? I know a lot of you don't have a background at the initial time in tech. What inspired you to transition into technology?
So I didn't transition into technology. I've actually always been in technology. From a very young age, I think I started web design in I started playing around with HTML in like secondary school. And after my first degree, I made it out of the country to the US, where I started a web design company called Anti-Gravity with a friend of mine. So that was sometime in maybe 2006 or 5. So we started building websites for a lot of people and clients in the US, mostly within the Nigerian and African scene and circles. So we built a lot of websites for small businesses, churches, associations, and then we were able to start getting more corporate work, corporate America. So I did a lot of work in the real estate industry in the US too as a web designer. But somewhere along the line, I started building some websites while in the US for Nigerian clients back home here. So one of my very first clients were the popular website, Not Just Okay. I built the very first version of notjustok.com. Another one of the early clients was Bella Niger. I also built the very first version of Bella Niger.com, and I think I played a role in the successes of those sites because back in the day, Nigerian websites were not very good quality or standard, and there was a very obvious difference in what a Nigerian website looked like and foreign websites. So at the time, I just felt, why should our websites look worse than the rest of the world? So I think I was a very good copycat, I would say. I was able to build the best standard of websites at the time. So it was a big deal, and people were all like, oh, wow, and the sites obviously blew up. And then not long after, I started working in the entertainment industry. So because of Not Just Take Cable, and those are mostly entertainment sites, I started getting more requests for work in the entertainment industry. So I worked with a few record labels. Daria Taladi at the time had a record label called Soul Music. I was the director of online marketing. Started working with them, and from there, I made my move down to Nigeria. And I was based in Abuja for a while. And then while there, I started doing more work, more complicated projects for organizations like ECOWAS, still web applications. But then after some time in Abuja, I moved to Lagos. I had a startup called Sturbs, which was like an aggregator of all the blogs and news content online for Nigeria. So it was just like a homepage that gave you a summary of all the latest news and a lot of music too. So it was also very popular with music. So yeah, I think I got my first entry into Nigeria, into the entertainment industry. I ended up working with other record labels. I worked with PME, the early days of Wizkid, Scales, Banky W. I was part of that process, and I think I even I handled the YouTube channel and did a lot of popular videos that EME had at the time. I might have been the one that uploaded the video. Um, and then I did that for a while, a bit of consulting, and then I, for some reason, just felt, drawn to home. So home for me is Kwara State. That's where I'm actually from. And there was a new agency starting in the Kwara State government, the Kwara State Internal Revenue Service. So I took interest and I moved to Kwara. At the time, it seemed like a very dumb move because people were wondering what was wrong with me. I have such a bright future. How can you go back to your state and start working for the government? Yeah, but I did that. But I think that was really just for me a preparation. I didn't really know what I was going to end up doing, but I had my vision, my goals that I had always had. While in the US, at a point in time, I visited Techstars. So I think I'd always had this interest in having a tech hub. So after like 5 years, I was the head of ICT at KWIRS and head of HR2 and corporate affairs at the time. So I headed like 3 departments there. And just to mention, before I take up all the time, while in Lagos, I also did a lot of consulting for big companies like Tony Elumelu Foundation, Airs Holdings. I built their websites. Over the course of my career, both in the US and Nigeria, I think I probably built over, I'd say 200-300 websites for different clients, big, small, corporate, government, private, public. I even ran the websites for the Osun State government for about 8 years, built and managed. So I think all these different things kind of just were preparing me for something bigger, which I had not seen yet. But along the line, while I was going, I met our new governor and I shared my plans for having a tech hub with him. And along the line, he bought into the idea, and one thing led to another. We started working on the Ilorin Innovation Hub about 5 years ago. There were several challenges: COVID, elections, the economy, and exchange rate. Made attempts at slowing down or stalling the projects, but we made it through, and we now have our project completed. It's the biggest tech hub in West Africa. So my vision to have a tech hub has now been completed.
Congratulations.
We're ready to move forward. Thanks.
Okay, so that's very nice. I wish one of these days we'll be able to visit the tech hub and see how it's going and also make some coverages. So that's amazing, and you have a very nice background and story. Let's look at talking about the Ilorin Innovation Hub. What are some of the key projects and success stories that have emerged from the tech hub? I know it's still quite young. What are some of the success stories that have come out of it?
Okay, so about 2 years ago, we had an event. It was an e-government hackathon. So, I mean, for those familiar with hackathons in tech, it's really just a competition where developers come together to build solutions within a very short time frame, like a sprint. But we did this as one of the very first times that major government organizations or states were actually going that deep into technology. So have a competition. Most of the time, you see that happening in the private sector, not in public. But that was, I think, one of the very first major government hackathons that we had in Nigeria. And it was very successful. We had a lot of people come from here in Ilorin, Kwara State, several of the surrounding states. We even had people come to attend the event from as far as Abuja, who were here in Ilorin for 3 days in one venue, sleeping and waking up and eating in the same place while they build solutions. And we discovered a lot of good talent. Then we were able to create a lot of teams. One of the teams has evolved into a startup. Some of them that were already startups have gone on to advance in their different industries. But beyond that, I think we've produced a lot of good talent in the short time that we've helped build the ecosystem, along with some of the other local ecosystem players that we have. But I can say that we can boast of some exports, which we are waiting to come back home at some point. But we've got some very good exports. We've been able to produce talent that have been able to get into high roles in very good jobs. One of those talents is a top lead developer with the Rwandan government on their e-government solutions. Another one is now a top focal person for the region, North Central region, with the UNDP. And several others that have gone on to get very good jobs in other society, private startups and all. But Beyond that, the hackathon also lets us see that there's a lot of young talents too. So we discovered a few teenagers that are very good software engineers and developers who are in secondary school who already build complete apps. So we're doing the most we can to support such talent.
That's amazing. That's
The remaining success stories are still work in progress. We're coming back to you with more of those.
Yeah, we look forward to those beautiful testimonies because these are things we are looking for in Nigeria and Africa. Let's look at still on the hub. How do you see the future of tech hubs in Nigeria, and what needs to be done to make them effective? With your experience, being able to be in and out of Nigeria, I must say. So, what are some of the things that needs to be done?
I think very first, I would say hubs always need to consider sustainability. One of the problems that we have in Nigeria is that sometimes we don't think far enough. We are thinking of just the immediate and not trying to figure out what will happen after. And that's why a lot of projects start on a good note but don't uh, continue after a while. So sustainability, I think, is the very first thing that every tech hub has to consider, whether you're private or public. You have to have a long-term vision of how the hub will continue operating, how the hub will get funded, and how the hub will navigate all our regular societal challenges that we have here in Nigeria. One of those challenges is power and infrastructure. So, first of all, here, for example, as I'm speaking to you, we're running fully on solar energy. We're not even connected to the grid. That way, first of all, we don't have any disruption of operations with regards to power. We're saving costs. Yeah, we're even actually supposed to be on band A, which I'm sure you know is very expensive, but we're not even in a rush or hurry to connect to the grid because we have 100% free solar powered building that's running with full capacity right now. Secondly, funding. So when you think of a tech hub has to fulfill a certain purpose. And what's the purpose of most tech hubs? Is to incubate talent, to build and upskill more talent, to encourage collaboration. And then the hub has to provide its members or its community with opportunities, whether as a talent looking for remote work or any other type of freelance work or any work really. Or you're a startup that is looking to scale to grow bigger and become the next big thing. All these things need support, need resources. So the hub has to key into several sources of that. We've done that. We have one of our major partners, IHS Towers, and they're also very big on sustainability. They are actually the ones funding and running the hub. It was built and owned by the Kwara State government, but it's being run by a private sector partner. So that has already navigated some of the supposed challenges that we might face being in a government environment, because I'm sure we all know that things can be very uncertain at sometimes in government, especially when there's a change in administration. So we are protecting ourselves from that, and that's something I would recommend all tech hubs to do. Tech hubs should also not be so revenue focused. Sometimes tech hubs, in the process of trying to chase revenue, forget their initial purpose for existing. And when you're so busy trying to get money for workspace, then at that point, yeah, there's not much difference between the tech hub and a cyber cafe anymore. We are trying to run a non-profit model where there's revenue being made, yes, for the running of the hub. There's long-term revenue also being made via investment funds that either the state or other parties can collaborate or contribute to. But there's no pressure on us to start filling up seats in the hub or to get as many members as possible, because we're trying to stay focused on programs and the impact that they will make. And then after that, we can now look at, okay, so let's see how much we can make with regards to revenue. But we're funded already by a partner that's keeping us going. So I think I would advise every tech hub to have some very good key source of funding. I know it's not easy to get, it's easier said than done, but that should be the goal, that should be the target.
Okay, interesting. That's a very good one coming from you. Let's look at, when you're talking about technology, we have emerging tech, blockchain, AI, robotics are coming in. What role do you think these technologies will play maybe in shaping the future of hubs and also Africa. You know, we look at even your hubs. Are you looking to accepting projects from these sectors?
So I would say the very, very first and most important place that every tech hub should be looking and focusing on is AI. AI is changing the world at a very, very fast speed, very fast pace. Every day there's some new updates, new tool, new feature, new possibility of what can be done with AI, and this is advancing very fast. As that also moves quickly, we also have to consider the ethical and responsible use of AI, which also leads back to things like data protection, cybersecurity. These are all very, very key areas that the world needs right now. So whether it's for the skills in those fields, the skills in those fields are very, very much in demand right now. And it's eating into a lot of jobs too. So people are scared and thinking they're going to lose their job. It's very simple. All you really need to do is just adopt AI. And if you're able to adopt AI, I think that would protect and make your job a bit more secure. Because what will happen now is that it's those people who are able to utilize AI properly that will stand out and be ahead of the others. So we are definitely taking that seriously, whether it's AI for machine learning and data sets and LLMs, or generative AI for images, for content, for video. We're getting all into AI. But beyond that, there's also the need for skills in other areas. Now, before it was very important to learn coding. Now, because AI can also do a lot of these things for you, you don't need that level of expertise that was needed before. I think most people now with some entry knowledge in AI and a lot of experience and practice, I think people can do a lot of things much faster using AI right now. So AI can do almost anything. There's no part of our operations that we don't involve some level of AI in, whether it's from our hiring process to handling big databases or data sets. We use AI to sort and do all these things faster. So we're making it a culture for everything that we do to have some level of AI involved for more efficiency. I think that's where we're going.
Okay, interesting. Looking at the ecosystem, the tech, the tech ecosystem, the fintech, everything, technology and emerging tech in Nigeria. If you are given opportunity to change something, what would that be?
I think I would look more at the regulatory frameworks that exist. I know that there had been some challenges in the past, especially with fintechs and people in the blockchain space with regards to government regulation, what is allowed, what requires licenses and not. I think the government has to play a much more friendlier approach. Instead of being quick to ban, I think the government should be more focused on understanding and how to enable these things. Because all we need to do is to look at the rest of the world. That's the honest truth. Blockchain is more than just about meme coins. You know, blockchain is a technology that encourages integrity of data, discourages manipulation. So there's so many underlying uses of blockchain and cryptocurrencies that can power certain products on the back end invisibly. So from fintech to remittances, those can all be done. So yeah, I think we need our government to be up to date, understanding these technologies and not taking the approach of fear, but taking the approach of enablement. And I think that would drive these sectors forward quicker.
Okay, thank you very much. Just 1 minute because of our time. I would like to get your closing remark on how you see the future for Ilorin Innovation Hub and tech hubs entirely in Nigeria.
Yeah, so what we have done is we have done something that a lot of people did not think was possible. If you asked anybody where they think the biggest tech hub in the country would be situated, nobody would mention Ilorin. But we all know now that the world is a small place. It's getting smaller and smaller every day with the amount of connectivity and technology tools that we have. People can work from anywhere. We have a lot of people in Ilorin here that are not even working for companies in Ilorin, but just live here and work remotely. Some people who were living in Lagos before, I'm sure you know how expensive and difficult it is to live and do business in Lagos, have looked at alternatives, moving to other cities, Ogun State, Ibadan, and the likes. But we are trying to take advantage of that because we have the central location. We have good access to Ilorin via road, via air. There's daily flights in and out of Ilorin from between Lagos and Abuja. So it's actually a very feasible location where we're not dealing with the amount of traffic and congestion that you have in the big cities. And yes, as much as everybody wants to run to the big cities, everybody cannot succeed in the big cities. It's not possible. Some people need to go to their, I don't know, should I say villages like me to be able to succeed. But overall, I just feel that the Ilorin ecosystem is very vibrant. The universities here produce very, very good talent, especially the University of Ilorin. The issue before was just that all the talent that come out of these institutions don't stay in Kwara. We have landmark universities, so many private universities at Lukma and other tertiary institutions that produce very good talent, but they all end up going to Lagos, Abuja, or out of the country. Now we're creating opportunities for them here. We're creating there's a very, very much lower cost of living here in Ilorin than other parts of the country, other bigger cities. And people are starting to realize that you can actually be anywhere and still succeed. Some people only need their phones to succeed. That's all they use. All their work and their apps and everything they do in their business is on their phone. So why would you not be able to do that anywhere that there is good connectivity, as long as you can operate effectively? So we are trying to create what did not exist. In the US, there was Silicon Valley. Everything in tech was in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley, everybody was there. But at some point, people started to realize that other cities like Austin, Texas, Atlanta, New York also are very big startup hubs. And that's the same thing that I think will happen in Nigeria. And we are positioning ourselves to be able to accept that, because there will be a spillover. A spillover is going to happen where Lagos will become too saturated and choked. There'll be so much competition for business, very, very high cost of running your business, or with all the regular real estate or rent or operations fees. You know how hard it is to get an office in Lagos right now. Yaba, that tech started from as a small, humble area, has now become more expensive than even some of the high-brow areas in Lagos because of the tech presence there. So people are also starting to look at other options. I'm aware that even several big businesses in Lagos are looking outside to other options of where they can situate their staff and operations. And obviously, people outside of the big cities can live better on not as much pay as you get in the big cities. So I think we're going to get to a place where there'll be like 3 or 4 cities that you can identify with in tech in Nigeria, and we plan to be one of them.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you very much. It has really been an amazing moment with you, Temi Kolawole, the MD of Ilorin Innovation Hub. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, and it's also been good to be here. Hoping that we can do this again sometime in the future with updates of what we've achieved.
Interesting. So thank you very much.